WFH with two guys. Now here's Benny and Dennis.
If I say Bitcoin to you, what comes first to your mind? Maybe it's this crazy little thing that somebody's invented and it's going to ruin us and it's a way to destabilize the economy. But in other conversations you'll hear about Bitcoin, it is a mechanism of commerce. It is a way to be able to have a high growth investment. Cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin in general are here to stay. And it's something that's been legitimized in a number of different ways through governments, through businesses, through investment platforms. There are a lot of different ways that Bitcoin is going to be improving our day-to-day lives and affecting us, certainly. Now, we're not financial advisors and we're not, Dennis and I don't recommend any specific investment type. But Bitcoin is something that we've been curious about because it gets talked about from time to time. And when Bitcoin popped over $100,000 per Bitcoin, a lot of people took notice because when it was $20,000, it was something that seemed kind of crazy. I don't know where this is going, but this is a conversation that I had with Todd and Janet Gatewood, who are the owners of a business over in Nashville. And it is something I've never heard of before. This concept is really interesting. But they're the co-owners of Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club Nashville. And they are experts in this particular field. The conversation that we happened to have was really, truly enlightening. And it's something that it got me very excited. And it's something I think there's something to this. So have a listen. It's a wonderful conversation and give us some feedback. Let us know what you think about this particular topic. A number of years ago, I remember looking at this crazy idea, and it was really expensive in my mind, the idea of Bitcoin, and it cost nearly $500. It was crazy to think about that this virtual currency that it doesn't exist anywhere other than the cloud or the ethers, if you will, but this was going to be the next big thing. And I remember, well, whatever, maybe I'll bet a little bit. And I did. And I thought, yeah, it's kind of interesting. And I have to admit, I kind of closed the book and moved on to my business and did my usual business thing. And I looked a couple years later and suddenly it was $20,000 for Bitcoin. And I was, what? So today, we're in an environment that Bitcoin is really progressed in the last several years for sure. And so Janet and Todd are here to talk a little bit about what Bitcoin means for 2025. So welcome, you two. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So for those of us who are not really Bitcoin experts or cryptocurrency experts, tell us a little bit about what Bitcoin is and why it's really important.
You want to go?
Yeah, Bitcoin is a digital currency. It's peer-to-peer. And we are just at the beginning of all of this. It's unbelievable. And it blows my mind every single day that we've come into this space. And like you said, there's been people that have bought it like at 50 cents, $1 and everything like that. And I can't fathom that because today it had went to 89,000 a few days ago, but now we've popped back up to $99,000 and it had an all-time high back in December, the Christmas bump at $108,000. So this is a pretty pristine asset and stuff. And then you've got ETFs and stuff, BlackRock, Fidelity, people like that hopping on board. So there's a lot of things about Bitcoin that just really fascinates people, and it's understandable because it's really outpacing inflation. It's a great hedge, honestly, against a dollar that's devaluing.
Yeah. It's cryptography. It's solving an algorithm. Mining is solving math problems essentially on computers, and it's decentralized. Bitcoin couldn't come into be until we had the internet. So that's why it took until 2009. And I mean, the idea was there long before, but you had to be decentralized. You had to have multiple computers. across multiple networks, agreeing on things, on the solution, and then it creates a block in the blockchain. The reason it's very hard for a fraud is these blocks, you've got all of these computers verifying every block, and then they stack. So it's very hard to go back and have fraud with it. A lot of people, when we were started, we were afraid of Bitcoin. We wouldn't buy it. We bought XRP and Doge and different things. It'd be nice if we still had those. But when we learned what Bitcoin was, we sold it all for Bitcoin because it's digital gold. It's digital property. And it is, while a lot of people have been scared of it, when we looked at it, we did a 180 with our lives because we saw it is the number one appreciating asset.
One of the things that you just mentioned in that is we looked at this as, it's kind of new and I don't know what it is. I don't trust it. It's on the internet. I'm worried about hacking and all that stuff. This has really been, I think, a lot of personal projects out there, but we're a lot of small business owners. Why is it important? I mean, you talked about some really interesting things and appreciating asset. And yeah, for an investment, that's really interesting to me. But as a small business owner, we should be really considering this, right?
Yes.
Most definitely. You don't have to put all of your eggs in one basket per se, because I'm an older dude. So for me, it's like, you know what, if you put just a little bit in, just a hedge, I think it's a great idea because honestly, it's where everybody's going. And to give you a good example of that, I don't know if you've heard of MicroStrategy. That's Michael Saylor's company. And let me tell you, you talk about someone that's all in, he's buying hundreds and thousands of these Bitcoin on a weekly basis. Every Monday he's buying up and stuff like that. And his company is, just unbelievably leveraged into it, but it's in a good way. So he's selling stock and he's taking the money he gets from that stock sale and putting directly in Bitcoin. And he sees what this is going to do in the future and everything. And we're talking going into the millions of dollars. I mean, $100,000 seems like a lot of money, but you're talking millions upon millions of dollars in the future.
For a small business owner too, you think about their reserves. I think we're going to hear on the inauguration that it's going to be a strategic reserve here in the U.S. But you think about that on a personal financial level, on a small business financial level, and while we are not financial advisors, what we see, a lot of people will say if they're scared of it, put 3%, put 5% into Bitcoin and watch it. Like Bitcoin can be volatile. So you want to hold it for 4 years. That's what we say. And hold it for 4 years. It outpaces everything. It has a 15-year cycle already. We've already seen it. They're expecting it to really peak next October. But as for a small business owner, you need reserves. But even for us, we're married and we looked at it and we moved our retirement into it because with no regrets and no fear, like we are so grateful. This appreciating asset has outpaced everything we've ever personally seen or experienced. And that has been phenomenal. We've been in this space 3.5 years. And, but also small businesses, eventually people are going to want to pay in Bitcoin. I mean, you can pay in Bitcoin right now with the right kind of cards because there are preloaded debit cards like the Fold card. We can give you a link to that. But it's going to come up in multiple ways. Can I pay in Bitcoin? Does the business, they might offer a discount if someone pays in it because the kind of asset it is, I would take it all day long over fiat.
Wow. The excitement in your voice and the way that you all are talking about, it's pretty amazing. I have to say, one of the things that you just talked about there was using Bitcoin as a method of transaction, right? The whole idea and the concept behind Bitcoin was an alternative currency. With the U.S. kind of having the dominant currency today, I think there are countries that are looking to figure out ways of being able to prop up their economy, maybe add some stability. And is Bitcoin is it possible to do that?
Bitcoin's the one thing that will save Social Security. It's the one thing that can get us out of our national debt. It is, the conservative predictions are per coin in 21 years to be 13 million a coin. I think it'll be far past that. That's a conservative prediction that came from Michael Saylor, who is the CEO of MicroStrategy. And as Todd said, when COVID hit, Michael Saylor was looking for options for his company. He read the book called The Bitcoin Standard by Safin Amoose.
Yes.
And It's called the Bitcoin Standard. Your listeners should want to read that. There's the Bitcoin Standard, the Fiat Standard, and there's another book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, which is how the Fed was created. Our dollar has lost 90% of its value since the Fed was created in 1913. And but jumping back to the Bitcoin Standard, when Michael Saylor moved his company to that, he's grown 2,500%. He's outperformed every single thing. He actually has outperformed Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I still see as the number one appreciating asset, but Michael Saylor has outperformed it with MicroStrategy. You just have to, people need to do the research and look at it. That's what we encourage. And we are here. I don't know if you want me to go into it, but we are here because we teach. We have the Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club here in Nashville, south of Brentwood. And we have classes twice a week. They are live on Zoom. So if your listeners are around the world, they can listen in, they can send in questions, they can participate, they can see all the past recordings because we just opened in March. This week we talked about the Trust Wallet and volatility. Last week we talked about Theta and Levita AI. We've talked about XRP. I mean, we've talked about the rainbow chart. There's so many different topics. You have to study a lot in the space, but it's exciting.
And it keeps us young. Honestly, I mean, it really does, because you have to stay on top of your game with this stuff. And the people you talk to in the space, we've met so many people from all different areas, not only the country, but the world. And to interact and stuff, and just to be able to talk about these different technologies that are in the future are just absolutely amazing. We enjoy the space. We love being able to help educate people, talk about different things, and just basically go over what's going on in the world in general.
So let me ask, there are going to be people out there who have heard of Bitcoin. Maybe they know it's got some legitimacy to it. I know Elon Musk, you mentioned some people. Elon Musk is a large purchaser of Bitcoin. But I've also heard that Bitcoin is used for like illegal transactions. If you want to buy illegal arms and drugs and all that kind of stuff, that's what you use Bitcoin for, isn't it?
You think they've ever used cash for that?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Are people afraid?
Been using that for.
So are you afraid to use cash at the gas station because it's been used illegally? I mean, that's where it started. Yes. Is it peer-to-peer? It's peer-to-peer. The centralized bank controls everything. So I'm in real estate, residential real estate, and we can only transact and wire funds till 3:30 on Friday, and then you're stuck till Monday. And if Monday is a holiday, you're stuck till Tuesday. The advantage of this is a very quick, fast peer-to-peer transaction. You are not on hold for 10 days. We have more frustrations with the banks trying to get things done. I paid our lease check here and they held it because I just gotten a new set of checks and they thought it was questionable. I'm like, you held our lease check? I had to run a cashier's check, so I had to go to the bank and do it. If they'd had a wallet, a Bitcoin, I could have just sent it immediately and I just paid them. And there's no one in the middle getting a piece of that pie either. But as far as illegal, I mean, illegal, anybody can do any. They're going to find a way with whatever the transaction is. To think about this, it's on the blockchain. While your wallet, some of the wallets are KYC, which is know your customer, but some of them aren't KYC, but they're on the blockchain. So if I send you some Bitcoin from a wallet that's not attached to my name or my email or anything, which is possible, all you have to do is take that wallet address I sent you. You go put it on the blockchain, and you can see how much is in that wallet. It doesn't tell you who owns it. And you can see which wallets moved to that. So it's actually everything's on the blockchain. So they can track things that way in a sense.
So you just mentioned something called the blockchain. Is that a company?
It's open. It's like
It's open source.
Blockchain.com, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's out there. Everybody can look anything up on it.
They can, but it's private though. So they can't, like she said, they can't see who's making transactions and stuff like that, but they can see what transactions are being made out there and amounts and things like that. So
you can have a public wallet address, like you can have a transactional wallet. So I could send you $10 in Bitcoin from a wallet and you could check it, but I would not do that from my main wallet. I might bounce 2 or 3 just so that you don't know how much I have. People will walk in and go, how much Bitcoin do you have? I'm like, that's like asking how much money I have in the bank.
Rule number 1, you don't tell people what you have.
Never tell them how much you have.
So actually, to what we were just talking about, and I think this is really important to know, blockchain is a mechanism that is open source as a way to show legitimacy in transactions. It's not owned by specific entities. So it's not running through a bank. It's not running through PayPal. And by the way, you did mention about having a transaction kind of being held. If anyone's ever had their money held up by PayPal, and I know we have listeners that have, know the frustration we're talking about. I've had people who spent tens of thousands of dollars in PayPal, and they just said, "We're just shutting your account down. That's it." That's absolutely maddening. Yeah.
XRP is centralized. I know it. People are all about XRP right now, but it's centralized. Bitcoin is decentralized. You really need to look at any coin you hold or are interested in holding. You need to do the research. And the best way to do that is to go to CoinGecko and go look at the coin on there, and it'll send you to the legitimate website. There are a lot of scams in the space. Todd and I work hard people will walk in. You had somebody walk in yesterday that was scammed for how much?
$4 million.
Yep.
Her father was. And he is a very successful businessman here in the area, and he had went through some health issues and stuff, and just got scammed. And so she reached out to us through, of all things, the local police department here, told them to come by here and talk to us, because they had come to talk to us and tell us about some scams being run, and asked us to be on the lookout. So they actually sent this young lady to us to speak with her about it and see if we could help her. So we've had probably 5 or 6 people come in who have been scammed online.
The important point of that is when they are looking at coins and going to websites, you need to go somewhere like CoinGecko and find the actual coin link and the actual website link, because there are a lot of imposters. Yesterday, I reported 2 Facebook accounts that were mimicking our Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club here in Nashville. And they were posting under our post with wallet addresses trying to scam anybody looking at our club. So be careful before you click a link. Look and just make sure the source that you're getting the site from is legitimate.
So that's really a good point that I want to roll into. Cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin in general, this is something that you need to have a certain level of education and know about this. And experts like Janet and Todd are great resources, because I think that when people think about Bitcoin, they might be talking of a lot of different things. They might be thinking about like Ethereum or XRP, like you had mentioned. But the whole idea here is there's a lot of different levels to this, and you really need to find a good, trustworthy resource to be able to learn more about that.
No, and that's the thing about it too, because it was the first original coin, Bitcoin, everybody equates it with the different ones. They say, well, you talk about Bitcoin and stuff like that. Well, it's not necessarily the same thing, but because of the popularity and it was the first, it's kind of like Coke. Well, Coke could mean Pepsi.
In the South, it does.
In the South, or, whatever. That's the thing. It's like, it's equated with, that's the main pristine asset, so everything gets lumped in with that. Yeah. So
everything, the future is going to be tokenized. Our clubs are tokenized. We can talk about one of the other, that's what's coming.
Yeah, this is an inevitability for everyone listening here. If you think that Bitcoin isn't going to play a factor in us for the next 5-10 years, please pay attention to what the world is talking about when it comes to Bitcoin. You all mentioned that it makes sense to have a little bit of a hedge and to be able to have some in reserve. For no other reason, I think it's a smart idea that you protect yourself, your assets. We don't know what the world's going to look like. Who knows? And you have kids, I have a kid, and I worry about what the economy will be like when they're out in the real world.
Yeah. Well, if you're holding your seed phrases and you've got your Bitcoin, the bank can close. It doesn't matter. Credit card can cancel. It doesn't matter. The gold can be stolen. It doesn't matter. You've got your seed phrases in your head, stored somewhere safely, among different wallets. You can go cross-country borders. It's another hedge. Like we like diversification. So we're not anti a lot of things, obviously in real estate, but just like for a rental property, people want a 7 to 8% return on their investment. I mean, Bitcoin was $27,000 a year ago. We got our lease a little over a year ago, and it was $27,000. When we opened this club in March, it was $62,000. And as we sit here, it's $99,400 a coin. What has grown like that? Even if it dropped down to 80, even if it dropped down to 50,000, that's a phenomenal performance. That's not something to cry over. It's exciting.
And it's really what and I know the fund managers have a job to do and everything like that, but they tell you 7%, 7.5% is a good rate of return. Well, it's really not, because when you think about inflation and stuff, you're not going to outpace inflation with that. And I mean, it won't take long to burn through funds. at 7.5%. It needs to be way more than that if you're going to survive inflation.
Yeah, if you put your money in the bank, it's losing 15% a year. Your small business owners listening to this podcast, they're trying to figure out how to stretch their money, how to keep going when all of their supplies are going up.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend of mine who owns a number of restaurants, and if he wanted to keep the prices what they were before the pandemic, he would be out of business. You can't do it. That's how thin the margins are for him. But if you can hedge that a little bit, and like you said, when Bitcoin was 27,000, 62, and it's over 90,000 as we speak today, what did you do to make that appreciation happen? You just sat there. That's wonderful.
Now, we don't sell ours, so it's lovely that it is there. It's not that we were going out and buying Louis Vuittons. We aren't selling it. You hold it, you hodl it, because the value it's going to be from now. So I'm still working my day job. I'm still selling houses. It's slower than it was. I'm very excited about this space, but it's all going to come together. All the deeds are going to be on the blockchain, and people don't understand it. Like in California, they just put 42 million car titles on the Avalanche blockchain. They just tokenized car titles to stop having fraud. It's not just going to be California. It's going to be everywhere. So it's really exciting. I'm so excited for your listeners getting into the show today if they've never been introduced to it, because they need to learn. And we teach, but there are so many resources to learn this, but they need to understand what's changing in the world and changing in business.
And the best part about it too is you can dollar cost average into this. You could do as little as $10 a week, $10 a day, whatever. And that's the thing is, like, if you're not comfortable, start out small, learn how to transact, how to purchase things like that, and go peer to peer. And it's pretty. If you do that, you don't feel like you're as heavily invested in it, and you don't feel like you're taking as big a risk when you're doing smaller amounts like that.
A couple things I want to go back to what you had mentioned. I think you mentioned it earlier, Todd, was that as far as this becoming legitimate, and we've talked about some of the people who have purchased it, but big money companies, traditional money companies like Fidelity and BlackRock, they actually have ETFs that are based on cryptocurrency. You'll see a lot of people that are looking at it now because they're actually countries that are using Bitcoin, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
You are correct. Yes. Actually, you've got El Salvador, which basically became the first Bitcoin capital of the world. They went on this, they paid off their IMF debt with Bitcoin, which is huge. And let me tell you, the IMF was kicking and screaming, you can't do this, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, we're paying off our debt to you guys. And Janet and I have been down there twice. And from the first time to the second time, and we're going to be going down hopefully in a month or so again, the place has totally changed. The people have hope. I mean, you're talking about a third world country, and it's just that they're lovely. They've just been held prisoner because of the gang problem down there, which that's been taken care of as well. So you're getting a lot of foreign investment money coming from all around the world into El Salvador because the beaches are beautiful, the people are beautiful, and that's what a Bitcoin standard does. And I think the United States is going to be looking that direction, and they should, because it's something that's really going to build this country back to how great it is. And it's going to allow this country to help not only ourselves, but help the world, because everything good that's happened, a lot of it's come through America because of our people. We've got really good people here. We don't have necessarily great government, but that's okay, because the people are what the government is. And we can really help not only ourselves, but this world through Bitcoin.
Right. Yeah. We're early here, and it's reported the inauguration for the new or the second term of President Trump will be coming, but he has outwardly said that he is interested and supportive of Bitcoin. So that's also another piece that we need to be aware of. So those of you listening out here, this is something that is real.
And he was in Nashville too, as well.
We got to see him speak at Bitcoin 2024.
Bitcoin 2024.
Okay.
The world's largest Bitcoin conference was here this summer.
Amazing.
And back to El Salvador, our partner, Bitcoin Ben, has just bought 2 beachfront properties at Surf City. On each end, it's the second beach in the world for surfing, but it's level on the ends of it. And they're going to be all inclusive. They're going to be tokenized. And the economy is growing. The Bitcoiners are growing. The world is changing. And it's really exciting.
Janet and Todd, this has been a wonderful conversation. There's so much more that I want to talk to you about. We're definitely going to bring you back because I think we need to go into more in depth on this. But I know there are going to be some people in the meantime who have some questions about Bitcoin or crypto in general. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Our website is www.bitcoinbencryptoclubnashville.com. Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club Nashville. Our phone number is 562-526-0813. And we are on all our socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, X, all of that. There's also, if they want to look at the investment side, we have bitcoinbeninvestments.com. And we are in Nashville, in Brentwood, south of Nashville, in Cool Springs. And it's 1619 Galleria Boulevard, Brentwood, Tennessee, 37027. And we're open Tuesday to Saturday.
Yes.
So we're open 10 to 5, Tuesday through Friday, and Saturdays 11 to 4. So we even have people that will travel into Nashville just to come see the club. We have club members around the world.
And we're on the Meetup app as well.
Oh, Meetup. Yeah. If we have something coming up, we're going to put it on Meetup.
It's a wonderful concept. I looked at the website. I think this is really interesting. I've never seen anything like this before. So.
We are the first of its kind. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to encourage you all to reach out to Todd and Janet. Thank you guys for stopping by today. Really appreciate it. This was a really interesting conversation.
Nice to meet you. Thank you
Pleasure.
so much. Thank you to your listeners.
Thanks so much.
We'll see you next time.